In this video, I'm going to show you how you can use Publisher LT to generate reports using an Excel template. And the reason we want to use Excel templates is that we have these traditional reports that we generate that have a certain look and feel and can communicate information very quickly just because it's very familiar to your departments. There's many reports that you can generate. I have some examples here where you can just copy my templates, use those as a baseline, and then modify them as you see fit, or you can even start with your templates. So in essence, what we're going to do is use three templates. One is an assembly template here. And in essence, what we're going to be doing is all the templates require a source tab. And this is a requirement from the Publisher LT operation, which it populates the latest information from the marine information model into this source tab. So it has to be called source, and it has to be a table. As you can see, it has pretty much all the properties for the assemblies. This comes from a bill of materials, which we will import. If you want more properties, usually if you have additional UDAs, you'll have to modify your bill of material, which I'll also show you how to do. But once this information is populated in the source, all your other reports can get automatically updated. I am using PowerPivot. Some of you may have access to it, some of you may not, depending on the type of office that you're using. So if you don't have PowerPivot, you might have to create your own reports using the raw data, but that's be very familiar for what you guys are doing. So these are just some of the reports from the assembly. From the assembly one, I also have this max constraints, which I just entered some values for the maximum weight and length depending on the rank. And this is the rank that I'm using for my project. So if you're not using the training project, this will have to be changed, or you might not even use it. So assembly will be one report. Another report will be a part report, again using the same concept of a source tab, which all the information for all the parts which will be live. And these are the source parts we use for generating our reports. So I can do my structural weight per unit. You can kind of see this. I can generate reports on nesting because all that information is again in the source information. And in essence, I can create reports on any information that's in the source. And if you're familiar with PowerPivot, you can click and drag on it and generate different reports and filters and so forth. If you don't, again, use PowerPivot, you can use just normal pivot tables or just normal Excel. The last report we'll generate is the profile cutting report, which kind of gives me the same type of interactive report to do some analysis. It also has nested parts to see which parts have been nested and not been nested per unit. So I can kind of see how many parts have not been nested of a particular stock, as well as what's the total length. So let's get started. So I'm going to close all these. And the main reason is because when Excel generates these reports, it doesn't like reports that are generated with the same name, or Excel files that are generated the same name. So when you start, there's a zip file that has a bunch of information that will allow you to set up your project a lot easier. In essence, the first thing to do is there's an enterprise folder, and inside the enterprise folder we have two different folders, one with reports, and these are where your templates are. So have a simply report template, part, profile, and weld report. And these reports obviously will only get populated if your project has these attributes. So if you're not using weld, the weld report will not work for you. So you would copy the EnterprisePlatform folder into your source project. So this is my source project here, the same folder that has the PRO file. and as well as all these other directories. So you just want to copy and paste this into this folder. Second is that you'll want to modify your operations. So there's a specific operation I created for each report. In essence, what it'll do is it'll copy the template from this enterprise platform folder based on your root directory of your project, and then populate the data from your marine information model from your current project and into that source tab. So if you haven't modified any of your operations, you can click and drag into your operations file, and this is located from your C users, whatever your username is, app data, roaming, SSI, and then Enterprise Platform 2016 R2. And again, this feature is only available in Ship Constructor 2016 R2 or newer. If you do have your own modifications to operations, what you'll have to do is follow the blog and just copy the operations that I've created. So you can still do it, but this way I think majority of people might not have a modified operations file. The last file here is a bill of materials, and this bill of materials is used in case of to generate the reports on what properties we actually need. So what you need to do is you need to connect to your project, go to Manager, and import these bill of materials. So first of all, we can go to our bill of materials. You'll see that we have no enterprise platform bill of materials, which we need to generate these reports. So if we go to File, All Modules, import that bill of materials, it'll import 4, mainly because there's 4 different types of reports that we'll be generating. And then you can go to bill of materials to see what the bill of materials that we actually generated. So you can kind of see if you click on one of these are all the properties that we're going to be adding to our report. If you want to add or remove some, again, depending on the type of project, you might want to add some more user-defined attributes. So feel free to add more user-defined attributes. So we can click and apply this, and pretty much we are set to go and generate some reports. So now you open up Publisher LT. First thing to do, as usual, is change your output directory. So I'm just using the project, and then I created a folder called Published Files right into the root directory. But this could be located wherever you want. It could be on your desktop or on a network drive or anything that you actually want. So the next thing is to load your items. So we want to use Load Manager. And for the first report, we'll do the part report. And say we want to go units, that we want to select all units. This project that I'm using is the training project, so it only has 2 units. And then what we can do is you can go to Operations, go to Select, and go to Waveform Part Report. And then now you can see it has the operation there. And you do the same thing for assemblies as well as welds and your profile cutting. I also created a little bit of a shortcut, so you can go to your Load Manager, and you can go to Load Criteria. And if you go to the Enterprise Platform directory, there's the automation. You go to Reports, and then it has these Excel files that are already exported. So you can just click on All Primary Assemblies, and what it'll do is it'll load all assemblies. You can do it again for your welds in your project. And you can see it loaded all the welds. Now, what you can do is you can select your operations for your welds, the waveform report, or the assembly report. You can just check that. Or what you can do I created another report that you can load these relatively quickly. Then you can go import, do the work package, and what it'll do is that it will automatically put the operation of the report for those types that you've loaded. So it can make it a little bit quicker to load these items, and you can actually use PublishRLT to automate it. So in essence, you can just select a batch file that would automatically run and not even see this window pop up. So after this, we're pretty much ready to generate the reports. You just click on Run. So what it's doing now is that it is getting the latest information from your project, copying that template, placing the information into the source tab of that Excel, which all the other tabs are using that as a source information for its reporting. So therefore, all your reports will be updated. So it looks like it's complete. You close this. What we can do is go to this folder, and it has all 4 reports. Again, depending on the type of reports you have, you might not have weld. So if we just go to the part report, there's TSV files. These are just my temporary files. I left them there just in case if you want to see what information's generated, but these are not really needed. They were required to populate the information for the part report, but after the part report is generated, these are not really used. And we could change the operation so these are deleted so it does not confuse anybody. So as you can see, it has all the latest information for this project, only my Unit 1 and Unit 2. Good practice is to do a refresh all so that it updates all your reports. Otherwise, it sometimes works, sometimes does not work. So once it's updated, you can go to your reports, and they are already generated. And again, a lot of these are interactive, so you can select on the units here. It will filter them down. It's made to be more interactive than it is just a full report. Again, it all depends on the type of report that you want. So usually the items on the left are selectable. So that was Unit 1, and say I just want to look at plate. It kind of gives me a list. If I want to select on place plate, it updates that list as I go on. One thing also, because this right here, what the source data is generated from is the bill of materials that we imported. So for the part report, if we go back to our project, what you'll find is that this part report, this part full, which is used, is the exact same information that is generated from here. So if I remove columns from here or add columns, it will come into the source. What happens sometimes is, depending on how you've done your report, if you change this, you might have to update your reports because the column numbering gets a little off. But again, it depends on the way that you generate your reports. If you don't use PowerPivot, you might not have that issue. If you just simply use PowerPivot and not, or sorry, just use the pivot table and not PowerPivot, it might work for you. But again, it's just something that you can do. A good practice, though, if you want to start from scratch, is that source template that we created or we copied over in the enterprise platform reports. What you can do is generate a basic report with just the bill of materials. So you can open these up, delete all the other tabs except the source tab, generate your information from your project, and then generate your template, how you want that information to be displayed. And you don't have to worry about having information in the template. All that information will get deleted and updated from the source. So it will delete anything that's in the source tab and update it from the latest project. And as you can see, that this is actually a table and not just raw data. And if you do have raw data and you're figuring out how to convert it to table, you just have to select one of the columns and you can select this format as table and just select one of the settings, and it will generate a table for you. So again, the key is that the tab has to be named source. So you can delete all these other tabs, save your template, and regenerate your reports how you see fit. So I hope that was useful.